As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
If Canada faced a serious threat today, who would step up to defend it? You might think of traditional allies, but the full answer could surprise you. While Canada is widely respected for its diplomacy and peaceful stance on the world stage, it has also built a powerful behind-the-scenes network of military allies, intelligence partners, and global friendships earned through decades of trust, joint missions, and shared values. In today's episode of Huge Battle, we reveal 10 countries that would defend Canada no matter what. Some have fought shoulder to shoulder with Canadian troops in wartime. Others have signed binding defense treaties, conduct regular military training exercises, or share real-time intelligence. And a few, perhaps most surprising, have no formal alliance at all yet would still rush to Canada's aid in an instant. These are not superficial relationships. They're grounded in real-world commitments, battlefield cooperation, humanitarian rescue, and strategic vision. You'll recognize a few names, but others may leave you stunned. And make no mistake, the number one country on this list may completely reshape the way you view Canada's global standing. And stay with us because this is more than diplomacy. It's about who would fight for Canada when it truly counts. Spain. Spain may not be the first country that comes to mind in Canadian defense circles, but this southern European ally has rapidly become one of Canada's most versatile partners in both maritime security and cyber resilience. During Joint Warrior 2023, off the coast of Scotland,
as a naval
Spanish
combat
F-100
information operator,
Alvaro de
my job
Bazan
is
class
to
frigates
detect or search,
conducted
as well
complex
as
Aegis air defense
LISRA,
drills
our
with
electronic
Canadian
detection
destroyers,
suite,
demonstrating seamless naval coordination across languages and fleets. That same year, Spain's mechanized units took part in exercise naval assault, gaining first-hand experience in cold weather warfare while exchanging urban combat tactics from Mediterranean environments. Intelligence cooperation has also surged. Under the Five Eyes Plus framework, Canada's CSE and Spain's CNI, or Centro Nacional de Inteligencia, launched a joint rapid alert system in late 2024. Within its first 6 months, the system successfully neutralized coordinated ransomware attacks on power grids and ports in both countries, setting a new standard for real-time cybersecurity among NATO allies. Economically, Spain's energy giants like Iberdrola and Enagás have invested heavily in Ontario's wind and solar projects, while Canada supplies Spain with rare earth minerals vital to its growing electric vehicle sector. This synergy was mirrored in humanitarian operations. When Extremadura suffered record wildfires in 2022, Canada deployed CL-415 water bombers to assist local firefighters. In 2023, Spain returned the favor, dispatching elite mountain rescue teams to aid British Columbia's wildfire crisis. At the 2025 Madrid Security Forum, Spain's defense minister made a bold declaration. An assault on Canada is an assault on our joint values. We will not hesitate. With advanced naval drills, shared intelligence platforms, mutual clean energy investment, and cross-border emergency response, Spain has proven it is more than a European partner, it is a steadfast maritime defender of Canada's national interest. France. France and Canada share more than language and culture. They share a deep-rooted military alliance forged in NATO and strengthened through real-world missions. This brotherhood stretches from the Baltic skies to the burning forests of British Columbia. Under NATO's air policing mission, French Rafale fighters, Canadian CF-8 patrol Eastern Europe in joint operations to deter airspace violations. In Operation Reassurance 2023, France provided strategic airlift capacity, flying Canadian troops and equipment to frontline NATO positions in Latvia and Romania, an act that saved weeks in deployment readiness. Elite cooperation goes further. French and Canadian Special Forces conduct joint training at Exercise Trident Juncture, rehearsing hostage rescues and alpine combat raids. This interoperability gives both nations a critical edge in unconventional warfare. In intelligence, France's DGSE and Canada's CSE coordinate on counter-extremism operations. Their cooperation in 2024
Monsieur le
foiled a
Premier
planned
ministre,
bombing of
chère Marthe,
diplomatic missions in North Africa, underscoring
Mesdames,
their ability to act
Messieurs, en vos grâces
fast
et
and
qualités.
decisively beyond
Monsieur
their
le Premier ministre,
borders.
merci.
France is also a key partner in Canada's green energy transformation. Companies like Total Energies have co-invested with Hydro-Quebec on hydrogen infrastructure, while Canadian LNG exports pass through France's Saint-Nazaire terminal, fueling Europe's energy security. In 2022, when southern France was ravaged by wildfires, Canada dispatched water bombers and elite crews. A year later, France responded, sending specialist firefighting units to help British Columbia during a record-breaking fire season. At the 2025 G7 summit, French President Emmanuel Macron declared, "Our destinies are intertwined. Attack one and you face both." Grounded in historic kinship, modern military synergy, and humanitarian solidarity, France stands not only as an ally, but as a guardian of Canada's sovereignty and shared values. Germany. Germany and Canada stand as twin
Berlin
pillars
with
of
the
NATO's
event of
democratic
Exactly.
defense, united by history and reinforced by
I was just
cutting-edge
a governor and-
cooperation. On the ground in cyberspace and across oceans, their alliance is both strategic and deeply personal. At Latvia's Adagi military base, German Leopard 2A7 tanks train alongside Canadian Leopard 2A6s as part of NATO's enhanced forward presence. These live-fire drills simulate full-scale war scenarios demonstrating ironclad deterrence on Europe's eastern flank. In 2024, joint artillery exercises expanded to include integrated drone reconnaissance and
Brigade will
electronic
be
warfare
built
support
up
systems.
over the next 2 years.
Under the UN's MINUSMA mission in Mali, German logisticians and Canadian infantry shared forward operating bases conducting medevac drills and coordinating civilian protection patrols in volatile zones. On the cyber front, Germany's
increased support for
Bundesnachrichtendienst
Ukraine. Of
and
course, back in
Canada's
Germany, many critics say
CSE unveiled a joint real-time threat monitoring platform in mid-2024. This system now protects over 200 critical infrastructure nodes, including airports, financial centers, and transport grids in both countries. Technological collaboration is thriving. German aerospace firms, EIT, have partnered with Canadian tech institutes to develop Arctic-ready surveillance drones, combining German precision with Canadian cold-weather engineering. The first prototypes are now being tested over Nunavut and the Baltic Sea. Mutual aid defines this relationship. When Germany's Ahr Valley was devastated by floods in 2021, Canada dispatched water purification teams. In 2023, Germany returned the favor, sending mobile flood barriers and rescue personnel to help British Columbia during record rainfall events. Speaking at the 2024 NATO summit, Germany's defense minister declared Canada is the anchor of our shared values. If it is threatened, Germany will respond without hesitation. Through military power, intelligence fusion, and reciprocal aid, Germany remains an unshakable defender of Canada's sovereignty. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom and Canada share a bond that transcends military strategy. It's rooted in history, language, and the enduring strength of the Commonwealth. Their defense relationship is one of the most advanced in NATO, forged through centuries of collaboration and sharpened by modern interoperability.
Contribution reinforces the transatlantic participation in exercise, enable a ship's company to be better prepared for operation.
Securing vital trade routes against aerial and maritime threats. On land, British and Canadian armored units train together on Salisbury Plain, mastering combined arms maneuvers under complex terrain and weather conditions. In the skies, RAF Typhoons and Canadian CF-18 executed long-range interception systems during Exercise Artemis Strike 2023, demonstrating seamless air-to-air coordination. Their intelligence cooperation is equally formidable. The UK's GCHQ and Canada's CSE operate a joint counter-espionage cell in Ottawa, which in 2023 successfully foiled multiple cyber intrusion attempts targeting electoral infrastructure. Economically, the UK remains one of Canada's largest European investors, with growing stakes in clean energy and fintech innovation. When an ice storm crisis paralyzed Ontario in early 2022, Britain dispatched restoration engineers and mobile generators, helping restore power within 72 hours. But their connection is also deeply human. Through the Commonwealth Scholars Program, universities across both nations exchange students and researchers, cultivating generations of shared knowledge and leadership. At the 2025 NATO summit, the British Prime Minister issued a bold statement. "We stand resolute with Canada, attack the maple leaf, and face Britain's full might." With synchronized naval defense, battlefield integration, real-time intelligence sharing, and unmatched cultural ties, the United Kingdom is not just Canada's historical ally, it is a strategic cornerstone of Canada's defense architecture in an increasingly unpredictable world. South Korea. Canada and South Korea have quietly built one of the most versatile and modern defense partnerships in the Indo-Pacific, anchored by shared democratic values, strategic cooperation, and high-tech military integration. In Warrior Exercise 2021, Canada deployed Leopard 2 tanks to South Korea, training in mountainous terrain and conducting joint night vision maneuvers on Korean test ranges. That same year, South Korea's KF-21 Boramai fighter jets visited Canadian air bases for interoperability trials, testing communication systems and air combat readiness for future multilateral operations. The
once it
collaboration
becomes
isn't
available.
limited to firepower.
Today,
Under
Major
UN
General Mark
peacekeeping
Bilodeau,
mandates, Canadian medical
Surgeon General
teams
for
and
Canadian
Korean
Forces,
engineering
joins
battalions
me
co-deployed in Mali and Lebanon, constructing forward hospitals and supporting civilian protection patrols in complex conflict zones. Their cyber alliance is equally robust. In 2023, the National Intelligence Service of South Korea and CSE of Canada launched a rapid exchange protocol for cyber threat indicators, specifically targeting North Korean malware intrusions on defense networks and supply chains. The two nations now co-host an annual summit on semiconductor supply chain security, recognizing that their shared reliance on microchips underpins not just defense tech, but global economic resilience. Economically, South Korean conglomerates like LG and Samsung are partnering with Canadian provinces to build EV battery plants and smart grid systems, injecting billions into Canada's tech and energy sectors. When British Columbia was overwhelmed by catastrophic flooding in 2022, South Korea dispatched water rescue helicopters and modular field hospitals within 72 hours, an act of humanitarian solidarity praised by Canadian officials. During a 2024 state visit to Vancouver, South Korea's foreign minister declared Canada is our unwavering partner in peace. Should it come under threat, Korea stands ready. With advanced joint training, cyber intelligence fusion, and deeply rooted mutual aid, South Korea stands as one of Canada's most vital and dependable allies in the East. Australia. Canada and Australia are bound by more than geography. They are united by shared values, mirrored terrains, and unwavering defense cooperation across two hemispheres. Their military alliance is deeply embedded within the Five Eyes intelligence network, but it extends far beyond data. At Townsville's Joint Combined Training Center, Canadian infantry train in tropical jungle warfare with Australia's elite 3rd Brigade, while Australian soldiers endure the brutal cold of Canada's cold weather operations course in Quebec, gaining survival skills essential for polar deployments. In cyberspace, Australia's Australian Signals Directorate and Canada's CSE have jointly developed a rapid cyber response protocol activated in 2024 to neutralize ransomware attacks on hospitals and energy grids within hours, a feat praised as a benchmark for allied cyber resilience.
En route
At
to our
sea,
deployment
both
for
nations
Horizon,
participate in
and we knew that we would have to do a forward rearm.
HMCS
Many
St.
missiles
John's
or
and
weapons that we
HMAS
expended
Sydney,
during those
conducting coordinated
resulted in
amphibious
that we
landings,
would use
interdiction drills,
Australia as a
search
proof
and
of
rescue
concept
missions
to
across the
forward
Pacific
rearm.
theater. Economically, the two countries strengthen each other's defense industries. Australia sources rare earth minerals from Canadian mines to fuel its defense electronics, while Canadian firms partner with Australian universities to develop advanced materials for aircraft and satellites.
Who
The
flagged
alliance
us
is
and
equally
asked us for
robust in
assistance.
humanitarian response.
And
When Canterbury, New Zealand was struck by a 6.9 magnitude earthquake in 2023,
we went up to
urban
him
search and
and
rescue teams
he
deployed
was
within
actually going
48
to work.
hours.
And
in
he wasn't.
2022, Australian K9 units and flood rescue boats arrived in British Columbia just days after devastating floods submerged entire towns. At a
I thought it was the
2024
right
joint
thing to
press
do,
conference,
and
Australia's
the-
foreign minister
a lot
declared,
of
"Our
the,
shared heritage of
First
democracy
Nations
binds
leaders
us.
wanted
If Canada is
the
threatened,
opportunity.
Australia will act
So,
swiftly and decisively.
Yeah.
From cyber warfare to natural disaster relief, Australia stands as one of Canada's most capable and reliable defenders across oceans and time zones. Norway. When it comes to Arctic security, no partnership is as strategically aligned as that between Canada and Norway. Both nations patrol the northern frontier not just with vigilance, but with seamless military and intelligence coordination. In Operation Nanook Defender 2024, Norway's P-8 aircraft flew synchronized anti-submarine missions over the horizon, using real-time data fusion to create the first unified maritime surveillance map of the High North.
The main role of a patrol pathfinder is to master the art of herding and extracting soldiers and being able to show.
While Norway's elite ski battalion completes polar sovereignty courses in the Yukon exchanges that ensure mutual readiness in the planet's harshest environment. Analyzing satellite imagery and human intelligence on key Russian naval choke points along the northern sea route. This shared threat matrix allows coordinated responses to increasing Russian naval activity, enhancing deterrence through unity. Economically, Norway and Canada collaborate on offshore methane emissions research and are jointly funding renewable energy projects in Labrador, bringing together Arctic science and clean energy innovation. Humanitarian ties are just as strong. Norwegian disaster response teams, known for their elite flood and wildfire capabilities, were among the first international units to assist Canada during the March 2023 floods, deploying mobile levees and sonar-equipped search boats. In a decisive speech before the Storting in early 2025, Norway's foreign minister declared, Our Arctic alliance with Canada is sacrosanct. Should Canada be attacked, Norway will invoke Article 5 without hesitation. With interoperable Arctic forces, fused intelligence assets, and unmatched cold weather expertise, Norway stands not only as Canada's northern ally, but as its vigilant co-guardian in the world's most contested frontier. Denmark. Among Canada's global allies, Denmark stands out as one of the quietest yet most capable defenders, especially in the Arctic theater. These two northern nations share more than icy latitudes. They share an unshakable defense commitment forged through decades of cooperation across land, sea, cyberspace, and disaster response.
To reinforce our European allies in the time of any aggression.
Danish frigates sailed alongside Canadian destroyers,
Exercises that comprise the steadfast defender. For Charlottetown, something that we don't normally get to do on a daily basis back home. So getting to be over here and seeing the crew learning from one another.
Their intelligence partnership is equally formidable. As founding members of the Five Eyes Alliance, Denmark's Military Intelligence Service and Canada's CSE upgraded their threat response framework in June 2023, enabling cyber analysts in both nations to share encrypted data and neutralize infrastructure attacks, sometimes within minutes of detection. When British Columbia was devastated by flooding in November 2021, Denmark deployed elite water rescue teams with sonar-equipped boats and mobile levee systems. In a show of solidarity, Canada returned the favor in 2022, sending wildfire crews to help combat severe forest fires in Jutland. Economically, Denmark reinforces its defense alignment with strategic investment. Ørsted, Denmark's renewable energy leader, has pledged over 3 billion CAD for offshore wind farms in Nova Scotia, helping power thousands of Canadian homes and creating jobs across the Atlantic provinces. In a powerful speech before the Danish Parliament in late 2024, Denmark's Minister of Defense stated, "An attack on Canada is an attack on the democratic bedrock of the Arctic. We will stand firm."
The main armament that we fire during exercises,
cyber resilience,
and this will be going on throughout the day in country.
Far more than
That was mainly handled by the Australian Defence Force to get them transported to where we are today.
This type of activity. Netherlands. The bond between Canada and the Netherlands was born on the battlefield, and it has only grown stronger. In 1945, Canadian troops liberated Dutch towns from Nazi occupation. Today, that historic gratitude fuels a modern defense partnership built on trust, interoperability, and shared democratic values. The two nations now train side by side in NATO's cold response exercises in Norway, mastering mountain warfare and Arctic combat tactics. In 2022, Canada and the Netherlands signed an updated Memorandum of Understanding for Rapid Deployment, allowing Dutch Marines to integrate with Canada's 3rd Division and be combat ready within 72 hours. In the digital domain, the AIVD, or Dutch General Intelligence and Security Service, and Canada's CSE co-lead a Five Eyes task force combating disinformation. During the 2024 European Parliament elections and Canada's federal election, their cooperation disrupted multiple foreign-backed influence campaigns protecting electoral integrity on both continents. The alliance goes beyond defense. Dutch companies are investing in tidal power projects in the Bay of Fundy, while Port of Rotterdam logistics remain crucial for exporting Canadian grain to global markets. In 2023, the Royal Netherlands Air Force dispatched C-130 Hercules aircraft, aiding Canada's firefighting efforts as temperatures soared across the province. At the 2025 Halifax Security Forum, the Dutch Prime Minister delivered a powerful message. An attack on Canada is an attack on our shared freedom. We will defend it together. With deep historical ties, advanced military coordination, intelligence fusion, and economic solidarity, the Netherlands doesn't just remember the past, it stands ready to protect the future of its oldest liberator. Sweden. Sweden's entry into NATO in 2023 transformed a long-standing friendship with Canada into a formal military alliance backed by Article 5, making Sweden not just a partner, but an official defender of Canadian sovereignty. Just months after accession, Swedish JS-39 Gripen fighter jets and Canadian CF-18s flew joint air patrols over the Baltic Sea, On the ground, Sweden's highly mobile mechanized brigades have joined Canadian infantry units during NATO's SOPLES rotations in Poland, refining combined arms tactics critical for joint deployments across Europe's eastern flank. The intelligence collaboration is equally sharp. In 2022, Sweden's Military Intelligence and Security Service and Canada's CSE established a secure direct SIGINT link, allowing instant exchange of threat indicators tied to maritime sabotage and state-sponsored cyber attacks. Together, they now co-chair NATO's Cyber Defense Center of Excellence Working Group focused on protecting Arctic undersea cables, vital infrastructure for global internet and military communications. Economically Swedish clean tech firms are co-developing carbon capture systems and green hydrogen infrastructure, with Canadian provinces reinforcing energy security and decarbonization goals. In 2022, when Manitoba was inundated by historic floods, Sweden deployed autonomous drone sandbag units and elite flood rescue teams within 72 hours, demonstrating a commitment that extends well beyond Europe. At the 2025 World Economic Forum in Davos, Sweden's Prime Minister declared unequivocally, "Our NATO membership commits us to the defense of every ally, Canada first among them." With formal treaty obligations, Arctic surveillance capability, elite troop readiness, fused cyber intelligence, and frontline humanitarian response, Sweden has emerged not only as NATO's newest member, but as Canada's ultimate guardian on the northern flank of a shifting global order. In a world filled with rising tensions and shifting alliances, one thing is clear: Canada is not alone. These 10 nations have proven time and again that their commitment goes far beyond politics.
The scenes have some of the most iconic images of RIMPAC 2022.
They've stood ready not out of obligation, but out of shared values and trust. If you've learned something new today, because the next global story we uncover might change everything you thought you knew.